How you doing? My name is Eaton Bryce. I'm from New York City. I'm here at the Nats. I will be flying in sport scale and team scale, also expert class precision aerobatics. What's happening today is we're having scale judging. So what it is these are replicas of actual models, and how they judge those models is by the detail, the amount of work hours, the accuracy of the model versus the full scale attributes of that ship. So what happens is when you go over to the scale area, the judges, there are 3 judges, they look at your details in your model. So do you have rivets where rivets are supposed to be? Do you have lights where lights are supposed to be? If you have a military-based ship, do you have armament where it's supposed to be? Is the landing gear accurate and matched to the model, so on and so forth? And those 3 judges judge that component, and that's called static scoring. So you achieve a score, I believe, of up to a maximum of 50 points, and then later on you'll have flying rounds, and the flying rounds will develop your total component score against all the other pilots in your category, and that's how they determine who the winner is. It's based on your actual modeling skills and also the way that your machine flies. My helicopter is a Twin Star, formerly known as an AS-355 by Aerospatial Industries. It is a double turbine machine. Now, these machines, my particular machine, does not have a turbine. It's electric powered because it's easier to maintain. It's environmentally friendly, which is the main thing. I don't have to worry about fuel, just freshly charged batteries, so on and so forth. My fuselage is from Schluter. It's a very, very old machine, old fuselage, a body, that was kind of resurrected from an old hobby shop in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, New York. It was in terrible shape, and myself, one of my partners, he helped me get the body formed properly, so on and so forth, and help with some of the details of the machine itself. This machine is a treat to fly. It's not extremely loud. In my case, it's extremely easy to fly because of my other precision aerobatic skills. I can move this machine around pretty much effortlessly and not have too much issue with it. I love this machine. It's heavy, it's a bright color, you can see it in the air really well, and it works to my advantage. Challenges and difficulties. Nothing ever fits or goes together where it's supposed to go. You may have your flow chart, your layout of how you want, say, the internals to go, and then when you actually start to try to fit it into the machine, you'll find that you need heavy modifications. Maybe a shaft was supposed to be in a certain position, and now it doesn't line up. Maybe your rotor head, the blades that spin above the fuselage, is supposed to be a certain angle, but when you put the mechanics in, they don't come out at that angle. So it's very challenging. There's not too many store-bought machines or mechanics that can naturally just slide into a fuselage and have everything work up to your standards right away. There are a few, but they're very, very few and far between. Flying is another one. A well-built machine doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fly well. They have to be set up in order to emulate what the full size does, as I mentioned before. Sometimes you have people that are phenomenal builders, but they can't get the machine as set up as perfectly as they would like. But we understand that, so we all try to fly through it and try to put on the best flights that we possibly can during the flight rounds. I choose to compete in scale because it's more relaxing. It can be a bit taxing sometimes when the machine doesn't perform up to its standard or your standard, which means it has to fly well. It has to emulate what a real machine would do. Now, they're all real machines, they're just miniaturized, so you have to be able to emulate that. So no erratic flight movements or anything out of the ordinary that you wouldn't see in day-to-day life. I like it because of the camaraderie. The pilots help each other. We offer assistance to each other. Although it's a competition, we are all family when it comes to this because it's a very, very small cross-section of models that can actually choose to take the time to work on these models. Some of these models have an upwards of 1,000 hours of build time. Many of them were not in any condition to be presentable for these competitions, but everybody takes their time. If someone sees something that someone doesn't, they'll point it out, and they remedy things. Everybody works together, and that's why I really like it.
Well, my name is Aleskey Topnov. I'm living in Chicago, and I moved to Chicago from Russia when I was like about 20 years old. I started flying back in Russia with my father when I was maybe like 12. So since that I've been flying, and my father were all in stunt and combat, so I was flying combat for all my life. I was building my own airplanes, compete in Russia as junior, and then I moved to the United States and started flying combat here. I had really good partners, to fly. I started flying with Rich Tupper and Jory Siegel, Luz Cavon, and Ran Marchiglione, and that was a great team. We were flying for a long period of time. Me and Rich, we made to the team, and that's how I start being on the team, on the United States team. And then one day when I was in the machine shop, one guy asked me to fly a team race with him just to practice because his pilot can't, and that's how he pulled me up into the team race. And since that, I started flying team race. You have to practice a lot, you have to put lots of times, but when you're gonna get good results, that's where the adrenaline kicks in for the racing itself.
So I came from Parma Heights, Ohio to attend the 92nd NATS. This is a speed event, and this is one of 5 days that we're having, and today we're particular is half A speed and half A proto, which is started from a standing start for 10 laps, weather permitting obviously. We're waiting for a weather break, so to speak, right now to get back in. What makes speed distinctive from other events? It's horsepower. It's kind of like the NHRA hot rods of model airplanes, so to speak. We're looking for how fast and as fast as we can possibly go within the rules in each particular discipline. In this case, we have a half A class, both in proto and half A speed, 21 sport speed, F2A speed, and Formula 40, 21 proto, A speed and B speed, and D and fast jet. I got involved since I was a wee little boy. My father introduced this to me, obviously, since I was 5 years old, and at that point in time he had me on the handle of a rat racer back in 1964-65 year. So I'm doing about 108 miles an hour back then, and it kind of stuck in my blood ever since then. So here I am, some 53 years later, and still doing it. Enjoy every minute of it.